Hello and welcome to this short yoga practice. We are going to strengthen and stretch the side of the body today. So the whole side of the body, including the side of the hips. An area we don't always pay much attention to, but many yoga poses actually require strength in the side body as well as flexibility. And we are going to have a look at some of these later on. You won't need any props for today's practice, but you might like to have a blanket maybe to cushion the hips a little bit when we are lying on the side. So let's get started lying on the back. Just take a moment to either lie in Shavasana or with your knees resting comfortable against each other. And take a moment to settle down, to come into the here and now. Just for a moment, releasing any tensions in the face, the shoulders, legs, arms, fingers, feet. And allow the breath to flow freely. Now stretch your legs away. Take the arms up and over and come into a really nice long stretch. So we'll take our awareness to the side of the body straight away. Take your legs over to the right. They could be next to each other, or you cross your left leg over. And then take the arms to the right as well, shoulders a little bit. But don't roll the left hip up, so the hips are still even. You might like to ease out the shoulders a little bit. And then hold either wrist, the right or the left, whichever you prefer. Find a comfortable position for the head. And just release into this very gentle lengthening of the left side of the body. Really allow the breath to stretch the left rib cage when you inhale in this position. Just a couple more breaths. Come back to center. Stretch long, even out. And then take the legs over to the left, arms to the left, and find that side stretch. And ease into it. Hold the opposite wrist to the one you held before. Breathe into the right ribcage. And come back to center. Stretch long one more time. And then curl tightly. Take your nose towards the knees. Could release the hands briefly to wake up the core muscles. Take the feet on the floor, a hip width apart, and slowly roll up into bridge pose. So rolling and lifting the hips up. Arms can stay at the side of the body, or you link your hands to really draw those shoulder blades together. And come as high as you can. Moving your chest towards the chin, keep your head still. Couple more breaths. And then slowly roll down, release the hands. Nose towards the knees. And then roll over onto your left side. Lie in a straight line. So the ankles, hips and shoulders are in one line. So this is the position where you might like to have a blanket underneath the hips, especially if you're on a hard floor. So you're not rolling forwards, you're not rolling backwards, you are sideways. And what we are going to do now is to lift both legs off the floor and lower them down again. So it's just a little movement, the rest of the body stays really still, and you take the legs up and down, 10 to 12 times. Next, you keep the left leg on the floor. Draw the navel a bit towards the spine, really stabilize your body, and then lift your right leg only up and down. So not flinging it up, a very controlled, slow movement with the foot flexed, so the whole leg is long and engaged. Again, 10 to 12 times. A move you need for side plank, for half moon pose. And then just relax that upper leg, and wherever you feel it in the hips or the side leg, the calves, just pat the area out. And then go back to your starting position. Prop yourself up on your elbows. So on your left elbow, which is directly underneath the shoulders. And just practice a couple of times to really push the floor away. You will notice that your upper body is lifting away from the floor a little bit, moving away from the floor. So you stay in this position, elbow firmly pushing against the ground. And then either with the hand in front of you for balance or at the side of the body, lift your hips up and down. Now this can be very difficult for some people, so maybe you lift only a tiny bit. So I suggest we go for 5 to 10 repetitions. I'm going to do 10 here. And then we are going to briefly roll onto the back. To draw the knee in, rock a bit from side to side. And then we'll do the same sequence on the other side. So come onto your right side, lying straight sideways, resting on your right arm to start with. Lifting both legs up and lowering them down. Next, the right leg stays on the floor. Remember to engage the core and move your leg up and down. Often people find one side more difficult than the other. Pat any tender areas out. Come sideways again, prop yourself up on the right elbow. Place it underneath your shoulder. Practice pushing the floor away a couple of times. And then when you have got the hang of it, start to lift your hips up and down. And this time we are going to come into child's pose with the knees wide, toes touching. And releasing down for a moment. Hands can be pointing back or pointing forwards, whatever you prefer. Just to release the upper body, your shoulders. And then come into downward facing dog. Stretch out your legs. And then be still. Again, good opportunity to practice pushing the floor away. And at the same time, you are lifting your sitting bones up and then you straighten your legs. 3 deep breaths. Keeping the breath at ease, keeping the neck at ease. Now step your left foot in a little bit and lift the right leg up towards the ceiling. Step the right leg through and rise up. Warrior 2. Knee is pointing forwards, legs are pointing sideways. Lift your shoulders, lift your arms to shoulder level and turn your head. Nice steady breath. Maybe little movements to ease out the hips. But then be still. Move into reverse warrior. Drop your back hand, reach up and over with your front hand for a stronger, lovely side stretch. And come back to center. Straighten your front leg now and reach sideways. So preparing for triangle, but we are just staying in this position for a moment. Couple of extra breaths. Reaching, floating in the air. And then we take the right hand down, the left hand up. And rise up again. Come back to warrior two. Now take your elbow on the thigh. The other hand can be behind the back, or you reach up and over, extended side angle. So in this pose, the option to now release your elbow, point your hand forwards. And then draw your elbow back and push up. Turn forwards, take the hands down, step back, come into plank. Lower down to the floor, cobra or up dog. Downward facing dog. Stay here, 3 deep breaths. Step your right foot in a little bit and lift your left leg up. Step the foot through and rise up. Warrior two. Little movements. And then stay still. Drawing the shoulder blades down. Now reverse your warrior. And come back. Straighten your front leg. Reach sideways. Keep reaching. Hover for a moment. And then come into triangle. Keeping that nice sideways alignment of the body, not leaning forwards. Rise up again. Into extended side angle. Remember the 2 options for your upper hand. And the option to release the lower arm. Take the elbow back and push up. Turn forwards, take your hands down, step back into plank. So let's have a look at side plank as well. Make sure your shoulders are above the wrists. And roll over to one side. Both feet on the floor. Push the floor away with your arm. Come back to center, roll over to the other side. Come back to center, Come down to the floor, cobra or up dog. Downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths. And then come into plank again. Roll over to one side. This time, if you like, take your feet on top of each other. Lift your arm. And then you could also lift your top leg. Lower it down. Come back to center. Over to the other side. Release. Move down to the floor, cobra or up dog. And push back into child's pose. Keep the legs together this time. Just drape your body over the thighs. And take a moment now to let go of the effort. And then lift your head up. Thank you for joining in. Do add a bit of relaxation time to your yoga practice. I look forward to seeing you next time.